Hello and welcome to the first ever Establish the Awards show. My name is Adam Levitan, and every other week, roughly, on this show, we will be discussing awards markets: MVP, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. You guys get the drift. For this show, I'll be joined by our awards specialist and waiver wire specialist, Ryan Reynolds, as well as Gary Hartman, the MME bro you know and love. Gary, how's it going?
It's good, man. Good. Just got off doing the first look show. Had a good time over there. Excited to jump into awards, and I always love doing stuff with my friend Ryan over here.
Yes, everybody knows Ryan, of course, from Waiver Wire, from awards, and from some visits on Establish the Collection. Ryan, how's it going?
Good, Adam. Looking forward to diving into this, making some bets, maybe.
Oh, baby, we're gonna make some bets live. That's actually that actually could be fun. Before we get into it here, want to remind everyone this show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Yes, the NFL best ball is over, but their fantasy pick'em game is up, and it's really an alternative to traditional props. We're covering it with a table in our in-season package that shows their lines at all times, and then on Saturday we release our projections into the table. If you want to sign up for Underdog, promo code ETR will get you a $100 deposit bonus. Promo code ETR. All right, I have MVP up on the screen here, boys. I believe Josh Allen opened the season as the favorite. And then, Josh Allen goes out on national television in week 1 on the road against defending Super Bowl champions, completes 84% of his passes, accounts for 4 touchdowns. The Bills blow out the Rams. I think it's hard right now to not consider Josh Allen the massive favorite. 5-1, though. And I know there's some 4-1s out there also. 4-1, 5-1 is really short this early in the season. Ryan, what do you think about Josh Allen MVP candidacy right now?
Well, he's been in the hunt each of the last 2 years. I think pretty much everyone in the country likes Josh Allen. How can you not love a quarterback that's stiff-arming defensive players to the ground? Pass-heavy offense. Obviously, the Bills are a contender. My one caveat would be Buffalo has a pretty difficult schedule stretch this first 7 games. But if he can get through that where he's even close to being the favorite, he's very, very much in a very good position to close this thing out as the winner this year.
I would say one thing on Josh Allen is he runs with reckless abandonment, and he's usually the one inflicting pain, not taking it. But like Ryan said, he's out there putting his head down into linebackers and stuff like that. I feel like compared to some other guys, he's more likely to get hurt. Do you think when betting someone at 5-1, we should be factoring that in? Because that's always in the back of my mind. It's so early in the season. He has so much time to get hurt. What do you think about that?
Definitely. I think that's a very fair point. I think it's the same thing when you bet on Lamar. These guys are at a greater injury risk, but Allen's a much bigger guy than Lamar. And like you said, he inflicts more punishment than he takes. But still, his willingness to take punishment, it just takes things to go sideways once for him.
Yeah. One thing I'd say about their schedule, I agree with you, the toughest part of their schedule is this first part, but their schedule as a whole, I don't think is that tough. They get the Jets twice. They get the Patriots, who the Patriots could be bad this year. They get them twice. I think the Dolphins are pretty decent, but it's not like something they can't overcome. But then out of the division, they also get the Bears, Lions, Browns, Packers, who could be really bad, Titans. They actually play the Titans this week. So, yeah, the schedule's tough, but I think, generally, I think it's not maybe as tough as it seems. Gary, what do you think about 5-1 on Josh Allen and anyone else you want to bring up?
Yeah, I do think if Allen stays healthy, there's a real chance he runs away with it. This isn't like Kyler Murray early season last year where the fragility is just so high, both from a variance of a week in, week out standpoint and injury problems. Yeah, obviously Allen takes the beating, but we mentioned the guy's a tank of a man. So I don't hate it for most 5-1 bets. That's not my instinct to bet in that way, but I don't hate it. I would say, though, if he isn't the one to get it done, I'd be really surprised if it's not one of those top 3 guys. Like, for me, something has to go really wrong or astray this season for it not to be Allen, Herbert, or Mahomes. There's just so many question marks on all these other guys. I guess Jalen Hurts was a preseason guy we liked a lot that could be lingering around, but those are the guys for me that I think it's a favorites here for sure.
Yeah, I have the 40-1 ticket on Jalen Hurts, and obviously week 1 was a good thing. He definitely had a chance to throw for 300 and run for 100 in that game, and he kind of cooled off in the second half. But you can see that they wanted to be really throw heavy when they came out. And, when you add A.J. Brown, you had the league's best pass blocking offensive line, and Jalen Hurts plays like that and he runs the ball 9-10 times a game, like Jalen Hurts certainly has paths to get there. At 16-1 strikes me as a bit short on him. Maybe I'm biased because I have the 40-1 shout out to me. But yeah, Ryan, what'd you think of Jalen Hurts MVP outlook now?
The same. I also have a 40-1 ticket. That's another one of those things we did that independently without speaking. But yeah, I mean, what I would say about him is productivity-wise, had a great stat line, but as a passer, he did not improve as a passer over the offseason. A.J. Brown impressed me, I'll say that. A.J. Brown was absolutely outstanding yesterday.
That's kind of my point, is that now that he has A.J. Brown, he doesn't have to be that great of a passer in order to throw the ball to A.J. Brown on a 10-yard slant and have him go ham, So
True.
I definitely think that Jalen Hurts is in play, but 16-1 seems a little short to me. The guy that was the most impressive, the narrative is that everybody's writing him off because he doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. And now the narrative is, hey, Patrick Mahomes, I can go out there and win with anyone. He absolutely torched. I mean, I thought he looked incredible. Now, I think the Cardinals might have one of the worst secondaries in the entire league, and that'll be sticky for the whole season. But still, Mahomes certainly impressed. What do you think about Herbert and Mahomes now, Ryan?
I think this is a game this week on Thursday Night Football where whoever wins this game, whichever quarterback wins this game, ends up being the co-favorite with Josh Allen. But yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes eviscerated the Cardinals. And agreed, they do have a bottom-tier secondary. But right now in the awards market, especially in MVP especially, we're just laying in a foundation, You need to have a reasonably positive record while putting up statistics, and that's what Mahomes did, and to a lesser extent, that's what Herbert did as well against the Raiders.
You mentioned that game, and I think scheduling is an important thing to think about with all of these awards. I know, Ryan, you talk about it a lot in the article. This week is the week, of course, for Mahomes and Herbert. Not that whoever loses that game can't be the MVP, but it's going to be tougher by a large stretch, I think, and the odds are going to shift a lot. The Chiefs are currently a 3.5-point favorite in Arrowhead. I tend to think that the Chargers are a better team from top to bottom in terms of talent. Obviously, there's some home field there. I don't have a great lean on who's going to win this game. I think no Keenan Allen for the Chargers certainly hurts them. I don't have a great lean on who's going to win the game, but how are you thinking about playing this game, Ryan, between the Chiefs and the Chargers?
I find it interesting that it opened with the hook, that they're like basically encouraging you to take the Chargers. That gives me a little pause. So I'd also lean towards the Chiefs with Allen out. And like you said, whoever loses isn't dead by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be an early advantage. I could even see, say the Chargers lose and Herbert plays well, I could see his odds not really moving at all. If that happens.
Some long shots here, Gary. You can get 40-1s, 50-1s on Trey Lance now. It would be hard for me to actually pull the trigger on that. I mean, a lot of the criticisms of Trey Lance were, listen, he barely played in college. When he did play, it was at this FCS school. He didn't get a lot of practice time with the ones because Jimmy Garoppolo was there. He's not ready as an NFL thrower. And I'm not going to write all that off as true, because in this in these puddles in Chicago on the road in the first game going west-east at 1 o'clock, he wasn't able to get it done. But I think I need longer than 40 or 50-1 on Trey Lance, especially with Jimmy G lurking. Like, how long does Kyle Shanahan give Trey Lance if he doesn't play well, if they start losing games? So I'd need more than 40 or 51 on Trey Lance. I don't think that's one for me, but there are some other long shots. Derek Carr, Ryan mentioned in the article, Kirk Cousins, Ryan mentioned in the article at 50-1. I find those more interesting than the Trey Lance ones. What do you think about that and any other long shots?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is the guy for me there if I'm taking a long shot. 50-1. Man, we've already seen this Kevin O'Connell, Kirk Cousins. Looks like beautiful relationship there where they're going to be, not at all scared to push the ball downfield. And I'll say it, they have the best receiver in football right now. I don't think it's particularly close. Obviously, we saw what Cooper Kupp did last year, but Jefferson's a special talent. When you mix those two things together, obviously you like the rest of the skill positions over there with Cook and Thielen, and we have some hope for Irv Smith. Cousins would be the guy. It's a little bit hard for me to see, I mean, maybe not because Aaron Rodgers done it the last couple of years, but the true pocket passer type quarterback to, rise to the cream of the crop with all these other amazing dual threat quarterbacks out there. But if the Vikings surprise have like an 11+ win season, I could see it happening.
See, I want the Lions to win the division. And obviously I have a bunch on the Lions to win the division at like 14-1 and stuff like that. But I actually think that now, obviously it's easy to say now, but it seems like the Vikings to me are like the best team in the division. Like O'Connell clearly knows what he's doing. the offensive line is improved. I think the defense is improved. And the Packers, like, I get that they're probably going to get Elton Jenkins and maybe Bakhtiari back and be better, but they have a lot of problems, the Packers do, man. And so I could definitely see the Vikings winning a lot of games. And honestly, when we're talking about MVP, it's important, and Ryan wrote all the articles about it, to understand what actually wins. You have to be a quarterback, basically, and your team has to win 11, 12, 13 games or more, period. And so, like, how many guys on this list can actually do that? Kirk Cousins is definitely in the mix to do that. Ryan, any more comments on MVP long shots before we move on here?
No, I agree with both of you guys on Kirk Cousins and Trey Lance too. I think you make a good point that you probably need longer odds on him at this point because, again, he didn't look ready.
Yeah,
I think Tua is a guy to maybe keep an eye on.
Yeah.
My one concern with him would be the AFC is just so loaded. Is he going to outproduce Mahomes? Is he going to outproduce Herbert? Outproduce Josh Allen? The answer is probably no. But at least Miami has the raw materials where he has a shot.
One of the things I saw from week one that was important was Miami had, I think it was on Sunday, the league's highest pass rate over expectation. And we're working on getting that data up onto the site now. But I mean, they might be really throw heavy with Mike McDaniel and Tua, and he certainly has a chance there to win a lot of games. I do think they'd have to win the division ahead of the Bills for Tua to win that. And it's really hard to see that, but it's certainly not impossible. All right, let's go to Coach of the Year. So I know I've half joking, half serious been talking about Dan Campbell to win Coach of the Year because he was so mispriced originally. The 60-1 on Dan Campbell, even the 30-1s were so mispriced. Now we see what's going to happen with the Lions, and I think this is going to be sticky all year. Their offense is going to be good, and their defense is just going to be a mess, and that's incredible for fantasy. I mean, you're going to get some incredible fantasy games. It doesn't look great for the coach though to have a defense that literally can't stop anyone. So I'm a little worried there from a real life perspective on the Lions. Like if they give up 30 points a week, which is certainly possible with the defense that they have, it's gonna be really hard for Dan Campbell to win it. His odds didn't really move though. Still 16-1 here. Ryan, what do you think about our Dan Campbell stuff now?
Well, first, let me comment on you. When you made that bet originally, someone at Caesars Sportsbook was probably staring out the window. They're like, an intern came up. They're like, hey, listen, it was 60-1 5 minutes ago, and all of a sudden we have to push this down to like 25-1. And that guy staring out the window probably had to say, I've had enough of this. Bring me the head of Adam Levitan. Because I mean, I bet it too. Again, we bet that independently. That line being 61 was insane. Yeah. But your assessment of the Lions, I'm completely aligned with it. They look like a shootout team. You know, the defense put some scrappy performances together last year, so I think there's some hope there. But from a talent perspective, yeah, man. I mean, if you have a real offense, say like when they play Minnesota, they could really get lit up. You know,
yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, in the first half, the Eagles did whatever they wanted, and you know, as you said, I think there's still questions on Jalen Hurts as a thrower, and they still did like whatever they wanted. Yeah. The Eagles did to the Lions defense, not great. Saints had this comeback win. You know, they didn't deserve the win. If Mario doesn't fumble that ball, they don't come back and win the game. So I'm still pretty skeptical on the Saints, but Dennis Allen, I think, is going to get credit for, they lost Sean Payton. They don't have Drew Brees, and the Saints are decent or whatever. And I still don't really love the Saints. I think it's a little bit fluky, but 30-1 is certainly interesting on him. And then the other one that Ryan mentioned in his article is Brian Daboll, his twin. If you guys didn't know, we put up a picture of Brian Daboll and Ryan Reynolds. And yeah, he's going to go as Brian Daboll for Halloween, I think, which should be good.
I'll show up to an established the awards show, Brian Daboll.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you know, Giants get the 2-point conversion. Daboll goes for it with I think there's 30 seconds left or something. Goes for 2. And when he could have kicked the extra point to tie and likely go into overtime, goes for it. Saquon makes a play. I mean, the play should have been stopped in the backfield. Saquon makes the play for him, and then they give up 30 yards immediately to the Titans, who have a pretty good shot at the field goal and just miss it. So certainly not the most inspiring win, but I get it to some degree on Daboll. Gary, what do you think about Giants and Daboll outlook going forward? Again, the 11-1 feels a bit short to me on Daboll right now.
That's my issue. The 11-1 feels a little bit short. You know, the Giants have that mainstream national news narrative that's going to keep them pushing towards the forefront. Every NFL show the next day did a whole thing on Brian Daboll dancing in the locker room with the guys. And, Ryan and I are both Giants fans here. So I think we're encouraged by Daboll and the regime for sure. But I think that's a little Sure. I mean, yeah, I get the division's weak, the NFC's weak. Could the Giants compete for a wild card? Sure. But would I be taking it at 11-1? No, I wouldn't be.
It's just hard with their like receiver situation right now. I mean, they're playing like David Sills and Richie James. And, I actually thought Daniel Jones played fine, but, it's just really hard with those guys. So I'm not skeptical on them sustaining. I do think the new favorite, Kevin O'Connell, is a sharp one because, as I said, Vikings have a very clear path to me to winning the division, winning a lot of games. And that's going to look really good for a new head coach and Kevin O'Connell to the national media. Oh, get Mike Zimmer out of there. All of a sudden, the Vikings are really good. Well, what you missed, if you think that, is that the Packers are so much worse. I mean, they lost Devontae Adams. They don't have either their starting tackles, but whatever. Kevin O'Connell still is going to deserve credit. What do you think about O'Connell being the favorite now? Ryan, anything else on Coach of the Year before we move on?
We talked about this back in May, where my original plan was to wait through the first 2 games and then see if I could get O'Connell in week 3. Now I'm thinking maybe I made a mistake there because we basically need them to lose in Philly. And even if they do, we probably could have got him at better odds months ago. But yeah, man, I mean, he's in a very good position to take this thing down.
Yeah, for sure. 8-1, I think, is at least reasonable on O'Connell. There might be some better numbers out there. And by the way, if you're looking for better numbers, no markets have more wide, crazy stuff in them in terms of different lines on different books than these awards markets. I mean, it's insane. Like Ryan puts it in the article. On one book, something will be 40-1. On another book, it'll be like 15-1. I mean, it's so insane. You don't see that anywhere else. And so if you go to Establish Run and you go to the props and betting tab, there's a thing that's called ETR Sportsbook bonus offers. You go there and you will be able to find the most bonus offers by your state, and they'll give you money and you'll be able to shop for the best line. It's just like an absolute no-brainer whatsoever if you're betting this stuff. All right. Last one we're going to talk about here is comeback. So I had a bet on comeback. I actually had a bunch of bets on comeback all on Christian McCaffrey at like 16-1, 14-1. It was not an encouraging week 1 for Christian McCaffrey. He's still up here at plus 650, but it was not encouraging, mainly because Baker didn't look like he was looking for Christian McCaffrey as much in the past game. I think that's maybe a small sample and they'll get that rectified, but it still wasn't that encouraging. Also, I thought the Panthers should beat the Browns at home and beat them pretty easily, and they did not. And so I feel like it wasn't a great week 1 for the CMC Comeback Player of the Year. What do you think about this market, Ryan, and any CMC thoughts?
With running backs in this award, they usually just don't win. Garrison Hurst is the last one. But with that said, Jameis Winston and to a lesser extent Daniel Jones are really the only quarterbacks in a position to win this award. So I do think if Saquon Barkley or CMC really rises to the top, or even Derrick Henry too, rises to the top in terms of running back production, they have a shot, and they happen to play each other this week too, Barkley and CMC.
Can I ask you what's Daniel Jones coming back from?
Disappointment, I'd say.
See, I don't even know the parameters for this award. Like,
he had the neck injury for like the last quarter of the season last year, last 6-7 games, something like that.
Okay, yeah. So is it like any injury that you miss games for, like you're eligible for this award? Like, I don't even know what these guys should be voting for.
Yeah, I agree.
That's fair because Khalil Mack's a good value. Khalil Mack's a 12-1 option in Defensive Player of the Year. On some sports books, he's not even listed for comeback, but on others, he's here for 40-1, which is a great value option. So, but he missed time last year. But was it enough for him to be eligible for this award? I'm not sure. I think Jones is a bit in the same scenario. However, he's been underwhelming to this point, so that's why I think he's involved at least.
Right. Yeah. I guess that, like when I think of comeback, I think of coming back from something like, you blew out your knee or whatever. You missed the whole year with multiple concussions, or I don't know. I find it hard on the parameters for this award. The one that we hit was the Burrow one 2 years ago. I mean, it was so clear he was playing, or last year, I guess it was, and he had blown out the knee. He had missed the whole season. Everybody saw it. He's such a big name. Like, that was an obvious one to me. I don't see many obvious ones here. Gary, we have Khalil Mack at a long shot. Danny Dimes, I don't even know if he's eligible or if people will think he's eligible. And then we have Jameis. What do you think about this market, Gary?
Yeah, and like Baker's sitting there as a quarterback at 8-1 also. Like, you can make the similar argument. What is he coming back from? I mean, better situation. Obviously, he was playing, post-injury last year. Yeah, I mean, Brian Robinson's 6.5 to 1 there. I don't know if we've ever seen someone mid-season like that come in and win, but if he comes back, I guess, see how he plays. Saquon's a guy, man. Saquon's a guy for me. I think this is the first year that we see running back break that trend in a while, unless Jameis like really performs like Pro Bowl level type thing, and then you could see him run away with it. But Saquon, if he stays fully healthy for the year, he doesn't even have to be nearly as productive as he was yesterday. He could just be somewhere between, that rookie year and, just really good. And I think he can win it.
Yeah. I totally agree on Saquon. I do think that on Brian Robinson, the story is there, right? And a lot of this award is about the story. The story for Brian Robinson is great. Not his fault. He's trained his whole life to be in the NFL. Some assholes come and try to carjack him and shoot him, and then he comes back and he plays well. That's a story that I would vote for if I was in the media. People would vote for in the media. So, I think Brian Robinson has a chance. The problem is you need to hit the parlay. He needs to come back, which I'm not even 100% sure he's definitely coming back. And then he also needs to play well, And so, you're asking for a bit of a parlay there. I'd like longer than plus 650. I think there are some plus 850s out there. BetMGM, I think, has a plus 850. So be sure you shop for that and use our bonus awards page. But yeah, I mean, he at least has the story.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on comeback here, Ryan?
No, I agree. He does have the story. And unless someone has a spectacular season, I think he could win by default, Robinson. Because similar to when Alex Smith came back.
Yep.
As soon as he came back, people in the media were saying, just name the award after him, which was fair. And I think Robinson is in a semi-similar situation to that.
Yeah, okay. I agree. I think J.K. Dobbins at 16-1. You can look at, let's see when he comes back. But, I think we've seen these running backs next to Lamar be very successful over the years. So if he can play 13 plus games and, produce, I think he's in play.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point on J.K. Dobbins for sure. Kellen says any chance Odell wins the award when he's back just because of the media? Yeah, media certainly loves to talk about Odell. I don't think Odell's going to be back until December, though. And you're just you don't have a big enough sample in your season, in my opinion, when you come back in December. And I don't even think Odell will even be that productive then with Allen Robinson. And assuming he goes back to the Rams with Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp there. All right. That's going to do it for the first ever established The Awards Show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to reach out to any of us with ideas for this show going forward. We'll do it roughly every other week, or when we see important things happening, we'll pop on here on Tuesday mornings and check it out. Be sure you are subscribed to our YouTube, where we'll be having lots of content that is only available on YouTube. For Gary, for Ryan, I'm Adam. Good luck, everybody.